What would you do if you could travel back in time and change the past? Would you prevent the assassination of JFK? Would you kill a murderous dictator when they're still a baby? Wrong, none of those. Don't do it. All of science fiction has taught us that that never ends well. But how about something a little humbler, like you go back in time and you correct board game events or card game events in which you lost, and you change the past and you actually win that game session. That seems simple enough. The space-time continuum may not be too disrupted. Maybe the time police will not catch you. Time Chase, a new game by Renegade Games, and it is based precisely on this idea. It is a classic, even very classic trick-taking game with the plot twist that it is played by time-traveling scientists and also like really sore losers because they constantly use these ginormous and amazing time machines to go back in time and change past tricks. Isn't that a nifty idea? Now, the game at the core is still a trick-taking game. So you have a deck of cards and they are coded by suit, which is indicated by a color or a symbol, and then they also have numerical values. At the beginning of the game, a card is drawn randomly to indicate the trump suit, which is the suit that rules them all. Each player will have a hand of cards. Each trick you will have a card displayed, that suit that displayed. The suit or the lead card will be the lead suit. Players for that trick will have to follow suit if they can. They're also trying to get a higher value than any card that has been placed there. Players, however, can also play a card in the trump suit, and once everybody played a card, then the winner is the player who played the highest lead suit if there are no trump cards, otherwise the player who played the highest trump card, in this case, for example, that would be the winner. So far so good, very classic. However, here we mark the tricks that we play starting with number 1, and then later tricks will stay on the table, they're not discarded, and we mark them in chronological order. Also, once you finish a trick, what you keep there is the lead card and the winner card, because that's really what you want to know to remember what mattered in that trick. Now here for the plot twist, for the time traveling element, each player has a miniature or a wooden figure representing the scientists. The scientists are placed in the present, which is the rightmost trick in the line. Each scientist has a card such as this one. It represents their time machine, and each player has 3 control tokens. Suppose that trick was won by green, then we place one of green's control tokens there to indicate they won that trick. The purpose of the game is to have all of your 3 control markers in play. That is, to have control of 3 tricks anywhere along the timeline. The first player to achieve that wins the game. At the end of a turn, each player will receive fuel, because these time machines, oh boy, their batteries, they run out faster than my phone's batteries. You need to constantly recharge them. Each turn, each player will receive 2 fuel tokens by default, and you place them next to your time machine. 2 tokens by default, -1 for each control token that you have in place. So green only gets 1. Boo-hoo. And there is an interesting balancing mechanism there. And then we start the next trick. The trump, for the time being, the trump remains the same one, remains that one. And now we play another trick also. So we start a new chapter in our time saga. All the scientists move here, and we play another trick, and suppose that this is how it goes. This is the lead card. The next player doesn't have any, neither a lead card nor a trump, and then we have, oh, a trump card. Do we? Do we really? Yes, we do. And boom, and this time, oh, it was blue that won that trick. And again, we record that. What happens? Where does time traveling come into play? in the fact that each turn players have a chance of spending fuel to travel back in time. While the default position is the present, then each turn the players will cover their time machine, and they can place they can place fuel tokens there. Suppose that player places 2 there, and red player 1, and red player places 2. Then all the players reveal that, and then at that point they travel back in time by that number of spaces. Green, for example, travels back here, and red travels back here, and blue stays where blue is. And all fuel tokens that have been used are discarded. And then you simply play or replay the tricks as normal, starting from the present and going back. So actually, if you were alone in a trick, well, it's going to be very easy for you to win that trick. And here we assume that green has a better card that would allow him or her to win the trick, which is not the case because we have a 13 of the trump suit, so how can you beat that? Here, maybe the idea is that red has a better trump suit, and so red can change the past because the previous player won that with a 4, and now, boom, that becomes a 6, and so now it is red that controls that trick. However, maybe green traveled all the way back here to the deck and change the trump suit, and now that would be a nice plot twist, because now going back or traveling back or acting in the present, well, now you have to deal with that trump suit. That means that, for example, now that this trick could be beat by a simple 1 of the trump suit, because that beats all the cards that are there. So this is the general idea. As time goes by in the game, more and more tricks will become available. Players will have incentives to go back in time, but the better your position, that is, the more tokens you have there, the harder it becomes to travel back in time. But again, the present is not a bad spot if no one is there. And so when somebody's ahead, the temptation is to go back and change the past, but you have to be careful that you're also protecting that present. At the end, so you resolve the tricks in inverse chronological order. Then at the end of the turn, everybody snaps back to the present, receives new fuel tokens, and that's how it goes. And you continue like this until a player has 3 control tokens. There's also a variant which I haven't played yet. This is the chaotic variant. The tokens, the time tokens are shuffled. They are not in order, so they come out in a weird direction, in weird order. And also because of that, because the present, which is the last time token that came out, may not be the rightmost token, then you have the chance when you spend fuel to travel in either direction, and you commit to that, the number of spots you want to move in time and the direction by placing markers in the corresponding box. But again, I haven't played it because I like the basic version very much. I like what it adds to the system, to the general trick-taking idea, without actually adding a lot of complications. Traditional trick-taking games have an audience. There are definitely people that enjoy them, but they're very casual, and in fact, they're not for everybody. And in particular, they often are a little too light for many hardcore hobby gamers. Say you play the Tapestry, you play Dominant Species, some pretty meaty Euro games, and yeah, maybe actually you want to take a break from those and switch gears, but usually the transition to something very simple can be a little tricky. Not everybody is interested in that. However, again, say my wife really likes 5 Cucumbers, which is just as simple a trick-taking game as one can have. So Time Chase to me really makes the game, the system, the idea, the mechanic much more appealing to a hobby crowd. Now you have a lot more options, you have interesting tactical options, you have decisions, you have dilemmas. It's not just about, should I play the 8 now and save the 10 for later, or do it differently. as opposed to, well, where do I go? That's a spatial element because, of course, it is about time thematically, but you have actually the sense that you're walking across the field, and well, then you actually measuring distances because then you need to collect fuel. I really like the negative loop element, that is that the closer you get to victory, the less fuel you collect, and of course that's a nice balancing mechanism. It may lead to a little bit of bash the leader mechanic, but I don't mind actually. I think that's perfectly fine. Actually, that leads to a little bit of a team element because, well, I see that friend is way ahead, so I'm gonna start scheming with another player so that we can work together to prevent the player from happening. Of course, it's an enemy of my enemy situation, not because I don't really want to work with that other player. Ultimately, I don't want to share victory. I can't, even if I want it. So I'm still trying to get the opponent, to get a friend to help me so that we can all stay in the game, but ultimately I'm trying to win. But I know that also my friend or frenemy in this case is doing the same. So I really like that added aspect. Sometimes that's all it takes. It's a game that is very traditional at its core, and then it adds this whole new dimension of time traveling, of going back and changing things. But again, it does it in a way that I find very mechanically solid. And actually, it also adds an element of bluffing, of guessing, or trying to figure out where you'll go next. The fact that everybody selects their destination for next turn secretly, very, very interesting to me. That very element, however, may add too much uncertainty for many people. There is, of course, the random elements that every trick-taking game has. On top of this, the fact that everybody selects their destination secretly may feel like random. It's functionally random for many players, meaning you can't control it. However, is not always the case. And actually, to me, try to guess where people are gonna go is fun. And if then it just so happens that they guess wrong and everybody gets wrong, and because of that, somebody wins quickly, well, who cares? You're going to play another game. Because advantage is that it has more meat, more complexity than a traditional trick-taking game, but unless people get stuck in analysis paralysis, it doesn't take much longer to play. It's still fun, satisfying, it moves fast, and so it has a lot of good things. Time Chase, I definitely enjoyed it.